How's it going? Wooden Spoon Supercoach here. Figured it was a good time for a team update with players locking out this weekend. All my Vegas players I'm set on and don't plan on changing. I'm ready for them to score and lock out. Um, Obviously, make sure you're certain about your Vegas players because they get locked in before everyone else. So, starting off in the hookers, I've stuck with Pakes and Paddy. I am not picking Sandon Smith because to start with, I'm gonna see how Paddy goes, and if he stinks it up, I'll flip him to Sandon because I don't think Sandon's gonna score very well in the first 3 games. If we come over here, where are the Roosters? Here they start with Broncos away, Penrith at home, New Zealand's all right, and then price changes at round 4. So at least we'll get the best score in his rolling average, you'd think here. But I'm going to look at bringing him in probably round 4. I think I'll have other changes to do in round 3. And then round 4, I can pick him up. It does get tough again here, but yeah, I'll have to give that some more thought. But yeah, Paddy, he's got some upside, some try scoring upside. So there's good possibility that he could work his way up with minutes. And honestly, if I don't want to get Sandon in at all, and Owen Paddy also is just getting 11s or whatever, I'm just going to keep him as enough because with the flex, kind of is less detrimental to have AAs and stuff. So, and I don't really loop that much unless I get crazy VC scores, but I'm more likely to go straight C early than go for a VC, I think. Then we've got Terrell May. Do we need to go over Terrell May? And same with Corey Horsburgh. I think this is what most people's front rows are going to look like, including, Tino and Takura. I'm pretty happy with my gun setup in this team. So Takura could change. The cheapies are what are going to change. Voimunga, I'm keen on. There was some chat about worries around his minutes or whatever, but he's only 232k. He doesn't have to do much to make some money, and he's an easy flip out. Granted, if you've got some cash aside, which I would recommend, have a little bit of cash so that you don't get stuck with dud cheapies. So, as you can see, I started the season wanting to go hard in center wing. I now want to go hard on second row forward because I can get a mix of consistency and upside. Whereas center wing is just a bit more upside, except for the injury to Kiraz was probably what made me want to do this because Kiraz, he's got the consistency and the upside. I've just gone for that in the second row forward instead, and I can go a little bit more rocks or diamonds in center wing for cheaper. Then we got Geimer and Halangahu. They may or may not stay in the team. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows at the moment. We've gunned up a bit more in the halves. Cleary and Hines, lock it in, easy. Makes that game very exciting to watch on Sunday. I'm very keen for that. Then we've got in Munster. I had Luai, and I was looking. I'm like, Munster's like 20k cheaper. And I haven't looked back since. Munster's in. Metcalf's in. Nothing shocking there. We come down here and we've got Garrick. He's been a mainstay in my team since I built it. Skelton, since that second trial, and he looked to be getting a bit more involved and looked like he'll get some more attacking stats. I liked that. Jesse Arthurs has just had a couple of good trials, and obviously Sione Fainu scoring 4 tries in a half. Imagine if he didn't get picked. That'd be crazy. But if he is picked, I think he'll be up there with one of the better cheapies of the year. And then the reserves, realistically, most people's reserves are going to look like this as well, with Purdue, Derby, and Toya. Now, with Latrell Mitchell getting injured, initially I replaced him with Reece Walsh. And then I watched Reece Walsh, and I was like, he generates points in clumps. He's a bit rocks or diamonds, and that's not what I was going for originally with the 3-gun fullbacks. The only person I could replace Latrell with to have that consistency and upside is Dylan Edwards. but I just don't. I don't like that enough to stick with the 3-gun fullbacks. So I've put Iongi back in my team. I've been seesawing about this throughout my videos. If you've watched them, you know exactly what I mean. But I just don't think there's another fullback on the tier of Turbo and Ponga. These guys are just the points generators for their teams. And with Latrell gone, there isn't really another one. Keanu Kinney, I like, but not enough. I don't like him more than having Iongi. So I've backflipped on that again. And sorry about it. We'll move over to my ladder prediction now. So I've done the ladder predictor, and it's going to look very biased, and it is. What the fuck ever. But I figured rather than just going through and mentally thinking, okay, who's going to come first, who's going to come second, actually go through the draw and have somewhat of an educated guess of what games are won and lost. So for the wooden spoon, sorry, Cowboys fans, you did look amazing in that final trial, but with all the new players leaving, lack of cohesion, I think they're going to get a bit bullied. Titans down at 16. Now, this, if I was to think who is going to get the spoon, who is going to come second last, third last, Titans would have been further up, I reckon, probably around 11th, but the bottom 8 could really shuffle any which way. So next up, Dolphins. I'd love to see them higher. I'd love to see them play finals, but I think just I don't see them improving as much as the teams around them. I'm not going to stick too much on the guys down here. Next up, we got the Knights. I think they'll be able to put some scores on the bottom 8 teams. And when I did pick these, I did try to factor in when major players were coming back. So like your Sam Walker, Latrell Mitchell, those kind of players. So towards the second half of the season, I did favour the Roosters and the Rabbitohs a bit more. But yeah, with the Knights, it's just, I need to see it. Like, they had a decent performance in the trial, but just the whole thing with the halves shuffling and everything, it's a bit difficult to be convinced by. Got the Wars next. Another team that I think could do a bit better. It comes down to the halves, I suppose. Their outside backs are decent. Forwards are very good. Fisher Harris is a huge pickup. If Luke Metcalf can really steer the ship well, then they could do a lot better. But he's kind of unproven. Although before he broke his leg, he was also very good. So the Warriors could also push up a little bit. Got the Roosters next. So I did favour them a bit more in the back end of the season with Sam Walker and stuff coming back. But this is still a team. Sure, they'll be relatively full strength again, but there's still issues with the forwards. They want the combinations and stuff won't be there. So they'll be slightly better in the second half of the year, but I think 9th to 12th for them. I'd happily have them, I think. We got the Raiders next. I'm quite high on the Raiders. I'm just a young team that just is all ticker, particularly in the forward packs. Got the ex-Manly boy KO Weeks down there, so I love seeing him do well. But that's exactly it. They're all young players, lack of experience. They've still got a lot to learn. But 11th, I think, is about right for the Raiders. But they are a team that seems to just sneak their way into finals sometimes. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw them around 7th or 8th. Next up, unfortunately, they didn't get their rightful spot at 9th. I think this is quite generous for the Tigers. They do have quite a good draw, but all their bad habits aren't going to be ironed out straight away. So I think 10 is very, very generous. I think I'd be a bit happier about this if I swapped the Tigers and the Roosters. And yeah, won't go into it too much. This is a very, very rough estimate of what I think is going to happen. Dragons at 9th. All the guns that have come to that club seem to be combining and gelling fairly well in trials, which realistically trials isn't comparable to round one because you don't know what the coach is telling the players to focus on. He could say, like, I don't care if you get 40 put on you, I just want to see you do A, B, and C. So can't take too much from that. We need to see them do it against some full strength NRL footy sides, and then maybe they could go a bit higher. Because they've got the cattle to do better. Got the Eels next. So just scraping into the 8 for me. As it comes down to Moses. If he stays fit, then everyone in the Eels team benefits off that. The season could also be derailed with all this Dylan Brown chat about him fucking off to Newcastle potentially. So another team that I don't think they can do too much better than 8th, but they can certainly find their way sort of 9th to 12th as well. Now, this one surprised me because I was pretty harsh on them for the first half of the season, but the Rabbitohs have come in at 7th. I just think once Latrell comes back, I don't think they're going to do so bad without Latrell and Cam Murray, who is huge as well, but I think they'll win a few games, enough to let them have a late push when Trell comes back, kind of like the Roosters did recently. So that's my reasoning behind that one. Bulldogs in at 6th. It's just about whether they can replicate what they did last year. I think early they're going to miss the kick returns of Kiraz and just his work generally. I think they're still a really gun side and they can push top 4 100%. But I think the teams above them have improved or are expected to be improved, while they are kind of not the expectation, but the question is whether they can do it again. So that's why I've got them there. 5th, I've got the Broncos. Similar to the Tigers, I don't think all those problems are going to be ironed out straight away. I think they're going to improve massively and they better, or they're going to get the fucking whip cracked on them by Madge. I feel like there's been enough Broncos talk. They've been all over the media since the off-season started, so we'll move on from them. Number 4, I've got the Sharks. So you're probably putting together what my top 3 looks like. It's not completely biased. I'll tell you that. It's definitely biased, but I tried to be somewhat reasonable with my glazing. So the Sharks, they're just expected to do much better. Short balls to Hazleton, to AFB, Stone Street coming in on the wing for Katoa, who comes back round 16 from an injury. Shout out to the bloke who let me know that on a comment in my last video. They're going to improve, but the Sharks, let's be real, they kind of have been pretenders in the finals as well. I don't see them winning a comp this year unless the 3 teams above them get injuries or something like that. They could push for it. They are good enough on their day, but are we going to consistently see the Sharks do really well? I need to see it first. But again, they could finish anywhere in the top 4, and that goes for my whole top 4, really. Penrith at number 3. Early in the season, they're gonna lose a few. I've only got them losing 3 here, so they could be lower. I was still very, Penrith 4 in a row, don't discount them. But with Toto out, with Talangi out, they've got some injuries creeping in, and they've already had some holes to plug with players moving. So their depth is being a little bit tested. They're still going to be good. Anyone in a Panthers jersey is no slouch, as Manly learned in the trial game last week. They're still a great team, but not as great as last year. We have been saying that for the last 4 seasons, though. So number 2, I've got Manly. I really did try to be fair when picking the wins. We are definitely going to pick up a few. We're not perfect. We still know how to throw away a game here and there. But we have a good draw and we have a lot of home games. And We wipe the floor with bottom teams, except for the occasional bed shit. So maybe Manly 3rd or 4th is more fair, but fuck it, I don't care. As long as they're in the top 4, I can live with that. Again, health of Turbo, health of DCE, and Jakey, Hamoli, the big guns. We need them all. We can still make top 4 if Turbo goes down with Lehigh at fullback, but I don't think we can win a comp with him. Not against Penrith or Storm in a final series. They're just a different beast. And obviously that leaves Storm number 1, who I've got here to only lose 1 game this season. Over the Origin period and stuff, I didn't think too much about who'd be out for the Origin period. I just picked it as if they're full strength, because that's too much to think about. But most people are going to have Storm up the top, and can't argue with it. We go down to my finals selections. This is going to be hard to see. Predicted premiers, Manly Seagulls. You can't see finals week 1 here, but I've got Melbourne beating the Sharks, the Broncos beating the Eels, the Rabbitohs beating the Bulldogs, Manly beating Penrith, hopefully. Then finals week 2, Broncos beating Sharks, Panthers beating Rabbitohs, Storm beating Panthers, Manly beating Broncos, and then Manly winning the grand final, obviously. Put your life savings on it. So that's that. Another video I'm wanting to make, but I don't know when they come out, is break evens, because they are so important, and they can throw your team around just as much as teams list can. So if anyone knows when they tend to come out, leave a comment. I would really appreciate it. We'll move over to the group league now. So Metamorphosis has got 3 bets on. He picked Stone Street and Tuapiki for anytime try scorers. I didn't know if he wanted to multi it or just have them individually, so I did both. And he's been pretty involved with other videos, so I've given him $10 of the budget dedicated to his bets. The second $10 will go on all the underdogs for round 0, and round 1. That doesn't really work. $5 each on the underdogs, nice and easy. And then any other comments left for bets from here will be divided between the last $10. So Metamorphosis, you're probably going to see yourself in this number 2 spot here, mate. And I've decided that whoever wins in this 1, 2, 3 bit, obviously I can't win it, even if I'm number 1. The amount they can contribute, I will just give them that amount of money. It won't come out of the prize pool. I will just front it myself. So that could really fucking backfire if one of you gets like $1,000 multi, but let's just hope you guys aren't that good at punting. If break evens come out, I'm going to do a video on that. I'm not sure when that's supposed to happen. Coming into round 1, I will also do an updated cheapie video going over what has changed over the preseason. So people who haven't really been too engaged in the preseason can just get a quick refresher of what's going on, and that could be helpful for people who have been involved as well. So yeah, I'll try and give everything I can to help you guys get your teams right and make this group league nice and competitive, and with a nice prize pool at the end of the year. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my reaction to the weekend. Cheers, hooroo.